Hey, welcome to the Deep in State presented by 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐻. I am Nick Hawks. On today's episode, we have Danny Joosten, the CMO at 2Blocks. Super excited to have him on. This episode is sponsored by 𝐒𝐮𝐻 Labs. If you're pushing the limits of what's possible on chain, you should build your own roll-up with 𝐒𝐻. We have a little bit more on them later in the show. Before we get started, remember hit the like and subscribe button. This alerts you to when the next episode drops and helps us keep bringing great guests like Danny on. Danny, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the introduction. I'm happy to be here. We talked about it a couple of times, and we finally made it.
It's good to have you on. So let's start off with the kind of basics. Who are you, and what does 2Blocks do?
Like your introduction said, I'm Danny, one of the co-founders, let's say, of 2Blocks. We started our project last year, May, together with 5 other people besides me, Remy and Alex, who came up with the idea, who have the umbrella view of the whole project as well. And they came up with the idea while working for Planet Watch and Helium, or collaborating with them at least. And then besides me, who's responsible for marketing, we have 3 guys on the development side, with 1 guy joining us either half-time or full-time soon. And now, since a couple of weeks, we are full-time out of the 6 original ones, with 3 people.
Okay.
So what does 2Blocks do? On a high level, we gather mobility data. And the way to do that is through a community of citizens. So citizens buy a sensor from us, put it in their front garden. At least at this moment it's a sensor, but maybe more about that later. You buy a sensor from us, put it in your front garden, you count the traffic in your street, from pedestrians to trucks and everything in between. And imagine your municipality wants to install a bike lane or a speed bump or whatever, or bigger projects, obviously. They will buy that data, and that money gets back in. And for sharing that data with us, you get rewarded for that too. So you gather the data, share it with us, you get rewarded, and we sell it to the municipality or whatever entity could use that, like real estate, retail, and so on.
Cool. And you get rewarded in tokens, right? That's a standard DePIN project.
Exactly. Okay. Or BLX token.
When you're saying a sensor, is that a camera? Is that LiDAR? Like, what does that look like?
It's a camera indeed, and and don't guess me on the technicalities. I'm the least technical person in our team, but it's not LiDAR. It's more, as I was told, the technology that Tesla also uses for their vision software. And so it's recognition software.
Okay. Super, super cool. All right. Let's see. Well, governments kind of have to deal with unions and are governments the only customer, or is this does this get geared towards advertisers? Is my little shop Paleo Treats going to pay for something like this data? Who do you see your customers are?
That's a very good question, because indeed our focus right now is municipalities or government, but notoriously their processes are long. It can take 6 months to maybe even longer. So what we do is we are more B2B2G focused. So we deal with other businesses in between who already have contracts with municipalities and take care of their data gathering.
Got it. So are there big players in the space already that you guys are trying to disrupt, or is this something that just hasn't been done?
You mean Web 2 competitors?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a very big industry. If I'm not mistaken, it's at least 25 billion. There is already a lot like it. I mean, there is so many projects going on in mobility, you can imagine, because it's closely tied to sustainability, and every major city in the world is adapting to that. So it would be weird if there's not already a lot of companies in Web 2 fashion providing that data. But obviously, I think the advantage that Web 3 has is that you can divide responsibility through a community. I mean, one of the
Yeah.
biggest investments in projects like these is the hardware investment, and that
Yeah.
is a burden that you share, and obviously after that you get also rewarded for sharing that burden.
Right. Right. And do you see that some of these companies that you're going up against and trying to disrupt, they may end up buying the data from you because it's going to end up being a better deal for them? Is that kind of something you're expecting? Is that the Web2 players like, oh, cool, we'll just buy data from you?
Also, that is an interesting question. I think that would be one direction. Another direction is, and we are actually already in talks with one of our Web2 competitors, is
Mm-hmm.
to get them into the Web3 sphere. There is a very similar project in the Web2 sphere. It has been funded by the Belgian government, by the EU, and we are having a chat with them because they run into constraints uh, regarding coverage. We are having a chat with them how we can complement each other, and where they run into some limits that we can help because of the community-oriented nature of Web3. So
Yeah.
you in principle make a Web 2.5 company of a legacy Web 2 company, so to say.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
that's a route we are looking at more.
All right. Super cool. And then Alex and I would say Remy, but you'd say Remy or close. Um,
Yeah.
Remy, what did they do over at Planet Watch, and kind of what are the lessons that they brought over to Two Blocks? What are you guys learning and using from there?
Yeah, so we had a very different approach, I think, to most of the DePIN projects out there, and that was because of the lesson they took from Planet Watch and Helium. I mean, they're great projects and they're pioneers in the space. So if they wouldn't run into obstacles, it would be weird. But one of the obstacles they ran into is they had a good idea, but and the supply side had been established, but on the demand side, there was nothing yet. So people at a certain point were waiting. Okay, when is my data going to be value for some end client? And one of the lessons we took from that is to look first at, do we have a demand? And for that we had 7 pilot projects. Two most notable ones are one in Dublin and one in a festival actually in Belgium, where we are going to the next phases. And if that goes well, that will be our first bigger sale and the best validation we can have for demand side.
Very cool. It's always
If that
cool
makes
to see
sense. Yeah.
pilot projects come back. We'll take a quick break here. One of the cool parts about doing this show is that we talk to tons of projects across the space, including a lot of back-end nerdy stuff that helps deepen projects. One of those is today's show sponsor, 𝐒𝐮𝐻 Labs. They're a customizable rollup provider deploying app-specific chains for several deepen projects. They allow you to pick your virtual machine, your base layer, and additional customizations to enable new functionality for your DApp. 𝐒𝐮𝐻 is committed to helping projects build on DePIN. Check them out at 𝐒𝐮𝐻.builders and click the card above for a link to an interview that we did with them if you haven't seen it. Okay, let's talk a little bit, Danny, about the like how the token accrues value. Is this a burn and mint like Helium? Is it buyback and burn like we started to pioneer with some other clients, most notably GeoNet? Or is there a different method that you guys are using for the token accruing value?
That is a very good question. I'm not 100% in the tokenomics. Also, our tokenomics will change in the future because
Sure.
besides our V1, which is the device called Mobi One, we are taking a little bit of a different turn, so it will change. I know there is burning involved, but I would give you a half a story, which wouldn't do justice to what the tokenomics is. So yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's good.
cannot give you enough.
No, it's good to hear. Sometimes it's great just to sit back and kind of figure it out as you go. Let's see, basic stuff. What chain is it on? People are always asking that one.
We have been focusing on Algorand for now. we are in discussions with them and see if it's the best option. But for now, 𝐻𝐻𝐻 is our way to go.
Okay, cool. I've talked a little bit with Stacy over at 𝐻𝐻𝐻. I know they're aware of DePIN, but they're still like, we're not really sure about it. So it's good to hear that they're talking with you guys. And is there a token right now, or there's not anything yet?
There's not anything yet.
Okay.
Regarding our roadmap, the coming 3-4 months, a lot is going to happen. So actually, one of the things we relaunched or a new product launch we had was last Monday. So 2 days ago, we launched a CrowdQuest app, which is a precursor to our mobile app that we are developing now. And the goal is to have that done and ready for production end of September. And then I think October is our goal to go to the blockchain and have our token live.
Got it. So the TGE, the token generation event, is kind of October-ish.
Yeah. So what we do now is to still have some value for the people that are already involved, because obviously we had our beta sale for the device. We now have our app CrowdQuest, which is everyone very welcome to have a look at it. And then 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐽𝐻𝐽, and that's a working title for our app in September. To already give value to the people who are jumping in, we are giving out 2Blocks coins, which are worth 3 cents per coin, which are redeemable for our BLX token as soon as we go live on the blockchain. 3 cents is our aimed price of our BLX token at IDO.
Interesting. That brings up all kinds of kind of stable coin quirks and tangles. But let's see. Can people see the network as it's currently deployed? Can I go anywhere and see where you've got these units up, or is that not yet? That's coming.
You mean
is there like an explorer so I can look at that stuff? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, 2Blocks units. Like, can I go see where some of these people counter units are, whether I'm a customer or just like an interested deployer? Make sure that my neighbor doesn't deploy one and I get less rewards because we're double deploying or something like that.
Good question. No, so we have our beta group for the device I talked about, right? Our V1 product, let's say. And the only criteria for earning 2Blocks coins is uptime, because it's just for testing the software and the hardware. And per 15 minutes, you get 1 2Blocks coin. And in principle, we've made a contract for a year where you can count out how much the ROI is, but the only criteria is uptime. So per 15 minutes you get 1 token, and we have a counter in our console for the beta club, as we call the guys, to see what their earnings are. In the CrowdQuest app, you just get, for every action you do, you get a 2Blocks coin as well. So the CrowdQuest app came into existence because of demand of our pilot project partners, and they also plus our need for training our AI. And there we just ask participants to share a picture, for example, of either a crowd from a second floor or from people wearing a helmet, depending on what we want to train our AI with, or what our pilot project partners need. And for every action for every upload, they earn a 2Blocks coin.
Cool. Oh, you're really leaning into the community thing. That's rad. Once you guys are off, good. Yeah.
So to answer your question, we are not on the blockchain yet. So there is you cannot track the token. It's just the tokens you receive. They are like a coupon for redeeming your BLX tokens once we actually go on the blockchain.
Got it. Okay, and I think we'll end up putting links in the description for everything that you guys have up and that's public and that you can share. Once the beta ends, is there going to be more value in putting a bunch of these things like up and down my block, or are you looking to kind of spray and pray around the world? Like, what are you expecting to see that will earn the most value, or that'll accrue the most value for deployments?
Yeah. Also, part of our go-to-market strategy with Mobi One, so the device, was we didn't want to spray all over the world, because that data, if you just have one data point, it's not useful to a municipality. So that would also mean that we will start to sell devices based on where there is a request to also have the data that is being gathered being valued. In major cities, there is a bit more flexibility ability around that, because there's a lot of projects ongoing. But the way to go for us is to base our sales on where there is a need for data.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Super cool. Danny, thanks a ton for coming on the show. It's always super cool to see these projects come on here and kind of explain what you guys are doing. Really helpful for folks. We'll keep an eye on what you guys are doing when you launch your next sale, or anything we can do to help you get the word out. Let us know. But thanks a ton for coming on, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again, and hope to see you soon.